Welcome back. This is the Daily Thunder podcast. The Oklahoma City Thunder drop an overtime game in LA to the Lakers, and we've got Daily Thunder vet at this point, Justin Hickey, in the room for it. Justin, how are you, brother?
I'm doing pretty good, man. That was quite the sweater. How are you?
It was yeah, I'm good. So Oklahoma City takes the Lakers. Pretty much had good control of the game. They were in it the entire game. This was not a fall behind and then sneak up on them at the end. This was a really solid performance from Oklahoma City the entire way through. The Lakers needed a spurt at the end just to force overtime. Let's talk about how they got to overtime first, and then we'll take it from there. They are down 3. Shai takes the ball to the rim, gets fouled by Dennis, old friend Dennis, and they challenge the call. Looked like a pretty clear foul, and they overturn it. And it becomes a jump ball. Bazley wins the tip. Shai gets it, draws a 3-shot foul, and I have to say it gave me Russell Westbrook flashbacks. Steps to the line, has to have all 3, and calmly makes all 3, forcing overtime.
You know, the only thing that was missing was KD not looking at Westbrook when he was shooting his 3 free throws.
Right. That's exactly right.
Watching the replay here on the big screen, it looked like Schroeder slapped his hand, and I was sitting there like, they can't overturn this call, but obviously we're sitting here in Los Angeles, so we're like, okay, they're probably going to overturn this call. So they do, and it actually plays out for the Thunder, and he goes and sinks those 3 free throws. And by that time, when it went to overtime, you can kind of just see as the Thunder went back to their bench and were kind of just sitting there with Mark, they were just completely gassed, and they kind of had the feeling like they could not go 5 more minutes and be able to keep up any offensive effort in this game.
Absolutely gassed when when regulation ended. Like, you could just see when they were coming back out for overtime, they were dragging. So props to the 8 Thunder players that got minutes tonight. Like, they're playing with the minimum amount of players that you need to even have the game. It was a really, really impressive effort on the road. Shai finishes with 29 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. Was a +3 in a game they lost by 7. Like, he had a phenomenal night.
Yeah, he did. You can kind of tell towards the end there, he was kind of short-arming his shots. I believe he was 10 of 25 from the field. So that fourth quarter, when he had a few of those step backs that were really nice, I was like, continue to give SGA the ball. And a few times there at the end, you know, with about 45 seconds left, Darius Bazley got completely hacked, but we won't talk about that. But those are moments that SGA needs the ball to they were up 107-102. And those are the moments going forward that he needs the ball in those situations so he can put the game away as we continue to grow this Thunder team.
Yeah, no question. And this would not have been a friendly Oklahoma City Thunder win. That's the side I'm on. You may feel differently. This was going to be a really, really tough win to take for a team that's obviously not playing for much of anything as far as playoffs are concerned. But for them to go to LA and potentially win this game, I was sweating. That's where my sweating was come from. When I say this game was a sweater, it was that the Oklahoma City Thunder might win this game.
Yeah, I mean, they played their hearts out with 8 guys, and if you think about it, I even forgot that Darius Miller was on the floor a few times, so
yes.
Basically like 7 times,
yes,
or 7 guys. So some things that really stood out: Hamidou Diallo had a really good game with 20 and 11. They actually had 3 guys who had double doubles. Hammy with his 20 and 11, SGA with 29 and 10, and then Darius Bazley had 21 and 16. Unfortunately, Bazley's career high is 23, and he had 19 at half, so he wasn't able to get there. So he kind of cooled off a little bit. And then a big thing was Kenrick Williams. The guy continues to impress. He's known as Kenny Hustle.
Yeah.
He was all over the floor with offensive rebounds and going after the ball, and he's completely surprised us and made sure a lot of people that were questioning Presti over the Frank Jackson release and keeping Williams, he's kind of putting those haters to silence.
Yeah, especially getting Teo some minutes. I thinking of Teo's development so far this year, I'm it makes even more sense that Jackson isn't out there to get his minutes. So I love what we're seeing from Williams. He's just a ball of energy, isn't he?
Yeah, he continues to just run around. There was a few times that he would pick up LeBron James full court on defense, and it kind of just seems like when everybody's just kind of gassed, he still has that burst of energy, and it kind
Yeah.
of reminds me of when Westbrook would just completely go out each and every night and just run all across the floor and dive for balls. And I mean, he's not a Westbrook type of talent, but he shows it with hustle, and he'll get offensive rebounds and he'll dive for the ball, and he's just always has energy.
Yeah, and Oklahoma City finally got a good Justin Jackson game, which ended up being huge. He ended up with 14 points, 4 boards, hit a couple threes. I wanted to talk about the 3-point shooting for a couple of these guys. Shay's step back and kind of to the side there late in the fourth quarter. I believe the three put them up by 5. Um, just a big time shot, a very Harden-esque type of shot.
Yeah, he's some of the things that he does on a nightly basis. It makes me not worry at all for OKC in the future. I know that he's going to be an all-star type player and an all NBA type player as he continues to grow in this league. And some of the shots that he makes, and then also his layup package that he just has to continue to get out. And if he has bigs on him, he just has to ISO them and take them to the cup or do his little step back that he does. But he continues to grow his game each and every night, and it's a fun thing to see for OKC fans.
His handle looks so much better. Just night after
Definitely.
night, his handle looks to be getting more and more comfortable. He had everything going tonight. Like you're saying, he has some layups in the last couple weeks. He's had a couple layups that are new. Like he's just constantly adding things. He had a couple tonight that I'm like, how is he improving week on week at this point? This is a third year guy. He's improving by the week. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, and also a big thing to see is some of his layups that he does, the left-handed layups when he's coming in on the drives from the right-hand side, reminds me of what Schroeder used to do with his left hand.
Yeah.
You think he's going to go right-handed, and then somehow he switches it to the left and kind of does a little bank shot there. But some of the layups I've seen kind of mimic what Schroeder did, and even Schroeder made a few tonight that I was like, SGA is kind of learning a few things from that. And that 1 year with Schroeder and CP3 is going to be big for SGA going forward.
100%. And that was another element to tonight's game that I was excited to watch. We saw Shai and Chris Paul go at it a couple weeks ago, but to see he and Schroeder get after it as both as starters this year was a lot of fun. The Lakers were led by, of course, LeBron James, the ageless LeBron James, 42 minutes. That's back-to-back overtime games for the Lakers. They let Detroit back in it a couple nights ago. Had to go to overtime to beat them. They get 28 points, 14 boards, 12 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks on 50% shooting from LeBron. And it took all of it to beat a shorthanded Thunder team. I'm just amazed by the effort that Mark Dagnall gets out of this group night after night, no matter who plays, no matter who's not playing, no matter if they're on the road or at home, how many nights they've played in a week. Like, it is amazing the effort that he's getting out of these guys.
Yeah, Mark has been completely good with this young group of guys. There was a time on the floor where they had, all these kids are 21, 22 years old, and he's continually talking to them. When they go to the bench, he always has something to say to Bazley or SGA, and he's continuing that communication. And I think he's going to be really good with this group. And kind of like a Scott Brooks back in, 2009, he gets to grow up with this group, and all the guys are young, and he continues to grow with them and be a good communicator and be a good player coach. We hope that he has a little bit more of an offensive play set than Brooks did, but the player development is something that's going to be very big for these guys.
I'm glad you mentioned the late game sets for Coach Dagnall, because that's been one thing that been one of the high marks for him so far. Loved the play that they got, or the action that they ran at the end, where the ball goes into Horford and they send Shai to the backcourt, and then they get Shai running downhill for a handoff. Those are the types of things that Westbrook would have feasted off of those types of looks. So I love that Dagnall is getting those actions for Shai now, because those are going to be plays that they use down the line when things really get interesting for this team. I was going to ask you about Lou Dort. His shot seems to have evaded him in the last few games. Are you seeing that a product of shot selection, or is he just missing wide open looks?
He's getting good looks. The thing that I've seen that's different over these past few weeks, and especially tonight, is his shot looked to have a lot of arc. So there was a few times where he completely shot the ball just like straight up in the air, like 20 feet in the air. It looks like he's changing not his mechanics, but just the flight of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it was more on a straighter line with a little bit of arc, but now he's just completely rainbowing shots, and it looks that he's getting away from his confidence. So but he's getting good looks. That's the good thing. I don't know if what he needs to change, but it doesn't need to go that high in the air.
For sure. Yeah, I was noticing the same. The ball the ball leaves watching on TV, the ball leaves the screen immediately and it doesn't come back into the frame for a while. That
Yeah,
thing is up there.
he did one in the fourth quarter that, it looked like it got lost behind the scoreboard that's sitting up in the middle, like little rainbow shot.
Absolutely. So Oklahoma City, they had three players play 40 plus minutes. That was Bazley, Shai, and Diallo. And these guys are coming right back in less than 48 hours to play the same Laker team. And I would imagine Anthony Davis will be playing in that one. So it is going to be interesting to see the kind of legs that they come back with. Will they have more players for that game than they did tonight? We'll have to wait and see. But this was an interest. If there was a game for them to get out of this set, it felt like this one, because they got off to such a strong start. No Anthony Davis, and they really looked like they had control of that game in the fourth quarter, going up by, I believe their largest lead in the fourth was 8.
Yeah, at one point, I believe they were up 90-81. And then with, a little bit more than a minute left, they were up 107-102. And then I believe it was Wesley Matthews that hit the three.
Yeah.
And then that's when the whole Bazley thing happened. And then LeBron came down. And, what the thing with LeBron is once he gets going downhill, we saw it in the first half as well. If he just wants to completely go to the basket, he can just get his way there. The easiest 2 points he can get. And he played 42 minutes tonight, and he just best player in the world. There's nothing. I cherish every time I get to see him here, because we don't know how much longer he's going to play, but he's just an amazing talent to watch, and he just gets triple doubles with ease. It's kind of like Russell Westbrook when we used to watch him back in the day. You don't even look at the stat board for a while, and you're like, oh my gosh, he's got a triple double already. So amazing talent.
He's something else. The pass that he made in overtime from the right block to the left corner to Wesley Matthews for that three, I think that put him up 7 or 8 at that point. But just it's just a constant reminder he is the best.
Yeah, there's his cross-court passes. Like, he'll just stand there for about 4 seconds so he doesn't get the 5-second non-moving violation. And then you'll be like, he'll just throw it across the court, and you're like, what the heck? Where'd that ball go?
Yeah.
And somebody's open in the corner for three. It's kind of like he has like 8 eyes on his head.
Mm-hmm.
He's always looking at the court, and he can see everything.
There were a couple other players for the Lakers. They do not win that game without Montrezl Harrell. Just a constant energy, great finishing around the rim. Like he had a phenomenal game. What'd you see out of him?
Yeah, Montrezl Harrell, every time I see him against OKC, he completely dominates. Like, he was here last year with the Clippers, and I think he had like 28 and 12. And when you have Darius Bazley guarding him, he gives up a lot of size, and Bazley was working his hardest, and he was on noodle legs there by the fourth quarter and OT, but he can just not keep up with Harrell. But without him tonight, Lakers don't win this game. And, congratulations to all the people who had Harrell on a good FanDuel.
There you go.
A good value tonight. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of FanDuel, I had the over, and I had the over 219. And when it was sitting at 107, 109, I was sweating it. I was honestly excited to see that 3-shot foul for SGA, and then overtime sealed it, but absolutely. And then finally, Dennis Schroeder, old friend Dennis Schroeder, 19.7 rebounds, 5 assists. He didn't have a very efficient night, 6 out of 16, 1 of 7 from 3, but he did have some big buckets there in overtime and played some good defense. I remember the play you're referencing with Bazley. You could just tell they had denied Shai the ball, and Shai wasn't quite. You probably saw it better than we did on on TV, but he just wasn't as aggressive as he probably should have been getting that ball from Bazley. And once Bazley crossed half court with it, it was like, okay, this is a turnover coming. He does not want this ball right now.
That was definitely a little shacked in a fool moment with the double dribble. I saw Bazley did not want that ball bringing it up the court, and as soon as he got past the timeline, it was like, oh boy. And Schroeder, he did it with OKC too, and he did it back when he played in Atlanta. He's got a lot of energy, and he will pick up on defense 93 feet of the court.
Yeah.
And when you get late in games like that, and especially with only 8 guys are tired, and SGA's got to work a little bit harder. And Bazley's tired, and he just wanted no part of that ball, and SGA wasn't working hard enough to get it, and it was just a little brain freeze there.
So I remember last year multiple times Chris Paul mentioned about Schroeder, how much he loved the fact that he would pick up 94 feet. And we would see it at least once a game. That would have an impact. That would have an impact on the game. So yeah, Schroeder continuing to just be a total menace. Dennis the Menace, all the way up the floor. So let's go to Wes Matthews and Kuzma. They both hit double-digit scoring. They just got a really, really nice lift off their bench.
Yeah, I mean, Wes Matthews had a few threes. I believe he moved past Steve Nash tonight on the all-time three-point list that they put on the Jumbotron here. But him and Kuzma had some big-time shots, and every time Kuzma shoots the ball against OKC, I think it's going in after that last year against OKC. He did miss a few tonight, and I believe in the first half he had a really big play where he had that put-back dunk that kind of gave him momentum going into the second half, and OKC came out a little bit flat. But again, there's a lot of players. If the Lakers didn't have them tonight, they don't win this game, and Wes Matthews was very big down the stretch. He's a complete steal on the biannual exception for this team. And, I was talking a little bit earlier with Steve from News 9. If the Lakers had Marc Gasol back from like 2013, 2014, this team would be completely unstoppable.
And they might still be, you know what I mean? They're I mean, in my opinion, they're the best team I've seen this year by far.
Yeah, they're completely deep, and I mean, they don't even have, they didn't have AD tonight. They don't have Caruso. They can just go 9-10 deep, and when you get to the playoffs, especially in a season like this where guys are traveling all over the place, you still got COVID hanging around, and teams are a little bit more mentally and emotionally drained. When you have extra guys like that, huge difference.
Massive difference, especially playing against a team with 8 players. So are you going to be are you going to be covering the game on Wednesday at Staples as well?
I am. So we'll see if I go to 1-10 or 0-11 at Thunder games at Staples Center.
That's where I was headed next. The Justin Hickey curse is alive and well.
Yeah, they even back in the Westbrook and Durant days and Ibaka, I could not go to a Thunder game where they won. I went to a Thunder Clippers game back in 2012 where they were up by like 17 and they blew it. And then I went to a Thunder Lakers game in 2015 where they're up by like 18 and they blew it. I just can't win here in Staples Center.
Well, let me tell you something. Team Tank appreciates your effort. That's a good job by you. That's a good job by you, buddy. Okay. So, wanted to make our listeners aware of something. On Wednesday night, we are going to be debuting a live reaction podcast on Twitter where you can watch and send in your questions, chat along. Those episodes will still live on the main podcast feed the next day, but you're going to be able to see the podcast as well as hear it. So jump on. We'll be sending that out live from the Daily Thunder Twitter account. So be watching for that. I'm sure we'll have Justin on there. Justin, you have an open invitation to those anytime you want. It's going to be a fun because we can just bring guys in and out whenever we want. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So we look forward to that on Wednesday. Be looking for that. And Justin from Staples Center, thank you so much, man.
I appreciate it, man. Have a good night.
All right, Thunder fans, we will talk to you Wednesday night.